everyone, it is Renee Hicks with Book Girl Magic, and today I'm doing something a little bit different with my YouTube video. Normally I would come on here and just talk about some of the books that I read, but today I'm going to do what's called a hip-hop book tag. I saw this on Rachel Ray's YouTube video, and it originated with Mark Nash, so I wanted to go ahead and see if I could conquer this little task. It seemed like it was a lot of fun. So basically, Mark Nash has a list of songs, and based on the song and the meaning of the song, there's a question, and with that question you try to relate it to a book that you've read before. So without further ado, here we go. Question 1. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5, the song is The Message. What book had a message which you just couldn't figure out what it was? So for me, while I loved the book, Sing Unburied Sing by Jesmyn Ward was my choice for this because it was a great story and well written, but when it got to the part with the ghosts and just the creatures, it was just, I didn't know what their purpose was. I know she did a lot of research on the jail where the father was picked up and stuff like that, but and that there's ghosts apparently really that exist over there, so I know that she kind of tried to tie that into the story, but for me it was kind of trying to tie them all together. I really didn't understand the message or what their purpose was of that book. So yeah, that was my choice for that. Number 2 is Erik B and Rakim. The song is Paid in Full. Which character got their just desserts in the most memorable way? So for me, this character would have to be Emma Jean from Perfect Peace. If any of you guys have read or heard about that book, basically she has a slew of sons. It's probably like 5 or 6 sons. And the last child comes out a boy again. But instead of actually letting that child be a boy, she masks the child's identity, and the kid grows up thinking that he is really a she. And growing up a little girl, and the whole family thinks it's a girl, and so it's just kind of this weird story, but and really good at that. But she eventually it's revealed that the daughter is really a boy, and so from that point on, Emma Jean, the mother, just kind of gets her karma, and it just goes downhill from there. So I think that she's a definite example of just dessert, someone who got their karma headed back to them. Number 3, Beastie Boys, No Sleep Till Brooklyn. Which was the last book you read in one sitting or read through the night because you couldn't tear yourself away? For me, there's not been many books that I've done that in general, just because I'm a slow reader as it is. But one book that I finished rather quickly was The Last Black Unicorn by Tiffany Haddish. I absolutely adore her and her personality, and she just always cracks me up, and her book did the same for me. So I was really intrigued with her story and just wanted more because it was so funny just hearing some of her stories. So that was number 3. Number 4 is Run DMC, Sucker MCs. Which main character was the biggest sucker in a novel? So for me, I couldn't just pick one. I went with An American Marriage by Tayari Jones, and all 3 characters are suckers to me. Roy, Celestial, and Andre, they're all suckers in this story, and I felt like they were a perfect fit for this. They all just were dumb in my mind, and I really hated all of them, least being Andre, because y'all know what team I ride with. But yeah, I couldn't deal with any of those characters. Number 5, sorry. Tone Loc, Wild Things. The wildest character in a novel or the wildest novel? So for me, by far, that book is A Piece of Cake by Cupcake Brown. That story just ridiculous from beginning to end. She loses her mom at an early age and immediately is like introduced to drugs and prostitution, and it honestly, for it to be a memoir, you wouldn't believe half of the stuff that she went through. So for me, that was kind of a book that I just felt was incredibly wild. Number 6, Public Enemy, Fight the Power. Which character faced the most overwhelming odds and put up the best fight? Again, for me, that's A Piece of Cake by Cupcake Brown, because to know where she started and how she ended up, she definitely was one that you just never saw winning. So I think that would have to be my choice, and I'm trying not to spoil it for y'all that haven't read it, but definitely one that beat the odds for sure. Number 7 is Coolio, Gangster's Paradise. This is one of like my childhood favorite songs. I love this movie in general. Best novel about a crime or law enforcement. So other than, I'm trying to pick something different because, you know, there's some crime in Thug and there's some crime in Dear Martin, but for this one I had to go with Orange is the New Black, just simply because they're inmates, and that's by Piper Kerman. They're inmates, and, you know, obviously they're in there for the crimes that they committed, and there's a lot of law enforcement and security guards and things like that. So that was my choice for that one of my earlier reads. And I love the TV show, so I'm a big fan of Orange is the New Black. Number 8, Notorious B.I.G, What's Beef? What's the biggest grudge or rivalry in a novel that you've read? For me, it's going to be The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. In that story, Star's dad and her stepbrother, or half-brother's stepdad, the two, and I can't remember the characters' names, but the two of them had such a big street beef that was probably one of the bigger novels that had the biggest grudge or rival in it for me. Number 9, Cypress Hill, Insane in the Brain. Who's the maddest or barmiest character you've come across? For me, that would have to be the main character on Girl on a Train by Paula Hawkins. She was just batshit crazy. There's no other way for me to really say it other than the chick just had some issues going on in that story. Although it's one of my favorite books that I've read, she just had some serious issues that she needed to get some mental help for. So that is definitely one of the maddest characters that I've come across. Number 10 is De La Soul, Me, Myself, and I. Who's the most self-involved or self-obsessed character? And I would have to go with Winter from The Coldest Winter Ever. Winter is just, she just doesn't care about anybody but herself. So she's kind of just in it to get hers. And she doesn't care the consequences or what happens to anybody else. It's just all about her. And she's just self-absorbed. And I think she's a perfect fit for that question. Number 11 is Nas, New York State of Mind. Best novel set in New York or a version of New York. Haven't read a novel yet that's based in New York, but The Perfect Find kind of has bits and pieces where they talk about New York and coming from there in the fashion industry. So I think that's my current read, so I would have to pick that book because I can't think off the top of my head of any books that I've read that are based in New York. Number 12, Dr. Dre's Next Episode. What's the best series you've read? For me, it's hands down, it's going to be Twilight Saga. That was the book that got me started reading some years ago. My first series that I ever read, and actually what made me fall in love with a series. So the movies, I'm just a fanatic of the Twilight Saga. I know not many people love the vampires movement and all that stuff, but Twilight Saga is definitely one of my favorites. Let's see. The next question, 13, is Tupac Shakur. Changes. Which character undergoes the greatest change through the course of a novel? So again, I'm going to have to choose Cupcake from A Piece of Cake. Again, her story was just so extreme, and to see her kind of win towards the end was incredible, despite all of the circumstances that she underwent. So that's definitely my choice for that one. And the next question is number 14, Kanye West, Gold Digger. Which character was the biggest gold digger, male or female? Again, hands down, Winter from The Coldest Winter Ever. She just was that she didn't care. Whatever it was, she wanted the best of the best, the bags, the handbags, the fashion. She didn't care how she got it. She didn't care who she had to use to get it. It was all about her, the money, and having the best of the best, because her daddy was also this major drug dealer, and they were used to having everything that they wanted. So, you know, even when she didn't have that lifestyle, she still was trying to hustle to kind of make ends meet and still be able to live that lifestyle the best that she could. So Winter's definitely my choice for that. Number 15 is Jay-Z's 99 Problems. This is the last question. Which book has the most plot holes and problems? Again, hate to keep bringing up this book, but A Piece of Cake by Cupcake Brown is definitely one of them for me, just because so much has happened in her time. And then also, I'd also choose Dark Matter. I don't know if you guys have read that book, but that was an interesting book that had a lot of plots and things happening, a lot of plot twists throughout the book. So for me, those are all 15 of the songs and my answers to them. I would love to hear what you guys choose for each of these songs. I will have the questions down below so that you can download them, and I'll be able to hear your version of this hip hop tag. Just make sure you tag me in it so that I know what's going on. And with that being said, I am done here. Hope you guys have an awesome day, and I will see you next time. Ciao.